All right, so we have renaming rights going on with the Big 12. The big thing is Allstate talking to them about buying their conference for 30 to 50 million dollars, the naming rights of the conference. And two of the names that have been currently tossed around are the Big Allstate Conference or Allstate 12 Conference. So obviously we could talk about the Big 12, but since it's the Big Ten Huddle, we'll try to subvert this in such a way that's more Big Ten minded rather than Big 12 minded. Zack, this concept of renaming your conference after some kind of corporate sponsor or something like that, obviously this is something that the Big 12 could get into. They're trying to find a way to, equalize the money in college football right now, especially in that area. Could you ever see the Big Ten going for something like this? You renaming the conference, maybe renaming, I don't know, obviously that would be more team oriented, but something with the conference. Could you see something like this happening, Zack?
I mean, I think if everything else in college football has really bent towards money and financial gain, then absolutely. Because I think as much as we love tradition, as much as we've loved everything about what college football has been, we know that the almighty dollar has kind of short circuited a lot of the tradition. That being said, I don't know when, because let's be honest, the Big Ten has not been the Big Ten since like 1993. And so it's had 12 teams. It's had 14. Now it has 18. So I don't know when. And I think you'd want to get the right sponsor because it's a national conference now. It's not just a regional conference. So I think they want the right sponsor, the right amount of money. So I don't know how long it will take. I certainly think the pressure's on the Big 12 and the ACC more than the Big 10.
I tend to agree. I think it's easier to rename the Big 12 than the ACC. Personally, I was like racking my brain for ACC ideas, and I was like, I can't really think of any for those, But Rajeev, I mean, could you envision a world where someday it's the big Walmart conference or something like that? Could you ever see this happening with the Big Ten?
I mean, I sure hope not. I really don't. I think it could, as Zack said. I mean, the money's everything, but I actually don't think it's going to happen with us, just because the Big Ten is one of the most powerful names in all of college sports. It's, we're in the top revenue producing conference. Obviously, the SEC and the Big Ten are the two super conferences now. And that name, the reason it never changes because it's too powerful. And that brand is so important. I could see it happening. I don't want to see it happening. And I don't think it will anytime soon. I think if it was going to change, it would have changed a while ago. And I just don't, we make enough money elsewhere. And not that there's ever enough money in college sports, but I feel like we're not like the Big 12 where we're actually hurting for cash and our member institutions want out because, they can't compete with us from a revenue perspective. We don't have that problem in the Big 10. I think it stays the way that it should stay, which is the name that's been around a long time.
Yeah, I think it was Tom Fernelli from the Cover 3 podcast. He made a really good point. He was like, the Big Ten and the SEC have very good branding, kind of like what you were talking about, Rajeev. He was like, what branding does the Big 12 have with all of these different teams that are there? You've essentially created a hodgepodge of all these other teams. So, does the brand of the Big 12 really last if you've swapped out all of your teams for other teams? So, we do have a comment here I want to bring up from Brian Myers, and we'll get to you, Curt. He says, I could see it happening, but if it did, I would go out of my way not to buy whatever product it is. So he would hate it so much, but he would know about it. And that's what advertising is, right? As long as you know about it, or I forget what that phrase is. But, Curt, what are your thoughts? Could this ever happen to the Big Ten?
I think it probably could, but not to the extent that it's looking like it's going to go with the Big 12. Like the Big 10 will always be a part of it. Now it could be like, the Big 10 officially sponsored by like an Allstate or I don't know, Culver's or something really common around the Midwest area, or whoever wants to step up and sponsor it. But no, I can't see the Big 10. It's got a lot of pride. It's been around for forever. I can't see them just doing away with the Big Ten. That part is always going to be a part of the actual name. So I think you'll just get other sponsors, like the Big Ten Conference sponsored for the next 10 years by something like Target or something like that. But yeah, I don't know how they'll work it into the naming, but I don't see the Big Ten going away.
That's a lot like the Rose Bowl. Like, is the Rose Bowl presented by City for a long time? And that's a really good point, I think, by both of you guys. Like, the branding is there. You don't need to change the name, but you can certainly get a sponsor in there and get an extra 30 to 50 million bucks, if not more.
I like LFG's idea. Buc-ee's Big 12 Truck Stop Conference. Does that mean all of the bathrooms at their stadiums have to be like pristine? Because isn't that Buc-ee's thing? Like you will never poop in a better bathroom when you're on the road than when you stop at a Buc-ee's. So I actually have a Buc-ee's cup. All right, Zach, let's have some fun with this, right? We can complain about tradition and things are, stink and all that stuff. Let's have some fun with this, though. This can be serious or funny, whatever your thoughts are. If you could choose who could be the new naming rights for the Big Ten, and it's the big fill in the blank or the fill in the blank 10 conference, whatever it is, what would you rename the Big Ten with? Kind of corporate sponsor, something like that?
So, and I need to change it because I think it is a more national conference now, but the first brand I thought of because of the Midwest, you brought it up, Curt, was Culver's. And I was like, I don't think Culver's is well known enough for it, but I was like, that'd be awesome because they need more love because it's like the best fast food, but maybe outside of Chick-fil-A. And that might be a hot take.
Those are fighting words against Gospel's Chicken over at Chick-fil-A, Zach.
Amen. Chick-fil-A is although, Chick-fil-A actually could be a good like national brand too, but
they're based out of Georgia.
As I said, I heard somebody
the
for
SEC if they were to pick
the
one.
SEC. Yeah.
That's fair.
My relationship would never be the same with Chick-fil-A if they sponsored the SEC.
Yeah, that'd be rough. I honestly do not. Someone put the Big Apple 10, which Jared Jones did, and I could see
that's a new one. Just start inserting words in between big and 10. Yeah. I haven't thought of that. That's a new one.
But like Silicon Valley now, like they can get in the mix because the LA schools. So I don't know if I have a good answer. I'll tell you who I don't want is Walmart or Target. Like, the big box stores, get out of here.
Yeah,
I agree. Rajeev, you look like you're excited to answer this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you bring in Oregon, you bring in Nike. So, I mean, for me, you could be like the big Nike. It could be the big swoosh. I mean, who knows? But I agree, it's got to have the 10 in it. So maybe it's like, the Big Ten Amazon or something like that. Because obviously, Zack mentioned Silicon Valley. I mean, Amazon and Nike are they're getting more into that sponsorship world. They're looking at sponsoring my English Premier League team. And so, I mean, I feel like that could be interesting because Nike obviously does a ton for Oregon. They've got to change that basketball court, though. I don't know what the heck they're doing up there.
They did change it.
They did.
Yeah. They are changing. Oh, thank God.
Yeah. I think that was announced right after the season.
I think Big Nike would be the one that I would. I mean, obviously, it's not really Midwest, but now that we're a national coast-to-coast brand, we might as well use the biggest name in sports, which, of course, is Oregon.
I like it. Or just name it Phil Knight. He has so much NIL money. Phil Knight's 10. There we go. Curt, what do you think?
Yeah, when I think of Big Ten, I still like to think of like the glory days running the football. And I know these guys already sponsored a bowl, but just something like the Big Ten, Bad Boys Mower Conference, something like that. just working the lawn. You're just heavy linemen pushing each other around. I think that would be fitting as far as stylistically how people think of the Big Ten and its glory. But on a more serious note, you could go something medical. Pfizer's got a lot of money. I know that would make a lot of people mad or unmad, depending on what side you go there. But if you went Pfizer, a lot of medical.
Not imagine the outrage if we had the Pfizer 10, the big Pfizer conference.
I'm
Could
just
you imagine
saying
the big pharma jokes with
everything already. So, but yeah, those are the only two names that really came to mind.
Oh, Curt, I want that so much now. I want the big Pfizer conference. That's what I want more than anything right now. Zach,
would that split the conference as fast as the conference came together?
Probably. Yeah. I think so.
I agree.
That's about as political as we're going to get on this show.
Right.
Mentioning Pfizer.
Yes.
Oh man. All right, we got some good comments here. LFG says Whataburger is now Chicago based. The big Whataburger, the Whataburger tin. That would be interesting. And Jared Jones, we're all in the clear. Walmart is Arkansas, born and bred. They'd all be. Thank goodness.
Would they want to associate with a team in Arkansas? That's the real question.
No.
Yeah.
No. Nobody wants to associate with the football team in Arkansas. In honor of CFB alignment. That's literally what I was going to say, LFG. I'm glad you said it too. The in and out 10, because at this point, once somebody gets kicked out, that's just what we can start calling it, the in and out 10 conference. You have to be a part of the elite 10 to get in there. So, let's see. Few other things here. Max says, what about a Wisconsin-based company with a big Jiffy Biffy pork pie? There we go. We had a comment earlier about so I feel like it's only fitting that I put in Philip's comment there. He says, Curt, don't use the X on Rajeev. Oh wait, Wisconsin has that. So yeah, I feel like since I put up Max's,
the act with its rightful owner, yes.
If I put up Max's, I feel like I should put up Phillips there just to make it fair. I'm not playing favorites here. And then Brock has a good idea. The Big Ten Conference sponsored by John Deere. That was what
that actually would work.
John Deere is the one I said that should be in the middle of Iowa's stadium last week. So they have a John Deere scholarship fund, which I don't think John Deere is connected to Iowa at all other than that, but still.